Good morning, everyone. Mr. Bernier did a virtual town hall last night, and I'm enjoying these. This was his second, and he said there will be more, so I think it's really good that he's doing it in a recurring way. I hope that he does one every week between now and the election. I think that if he does, well, even if he doesn't, this is still a unique thing in Canadian politics. So I like his use of YouTube here. Now, there is one question that I really didn't like his answer to, and it was really the first kind of meaty question. The time index is 519, and the question is, how are you going to financially support veterans? And he doesn't really talk about veterans. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, maybe he's just trying to avoid pandering. So, like, avoid pandering to that group, right? Because typically it's accepted to pander to veterans and pander to, certain special groups. But Bernier's whole thing is, you're a Canadian, whether you're a Sikh or a Muslim or a veteran, you're a Canadian. So I wish that, though, when asked a question specifically like, what will you do for blah? In this instance, I wish that he would have explained why he didn't touch on veterans in his answer. Because the more I think about it, the more, I agree with the way he answered the question. I just didn't really like it because it seemed wandering and it didn't seem like it was answering the question. I had to think about the answer more than I usually do to see that he did answer the question. It's, how will you financially support veterans? And he basically said, we're going to unleash business in Canada. We're going to unleash the private sector and we're going to open the doors. And by doing that, that will financially support people because they will be able to financially support themselves. So, as I said, I just wish it was a bit more clear on that question. All of that said, I really liked the town hall overall, and we're going to go through what I thought were the most important. There are other important ones. I'm not doing all of the important ones because if I did, I would just show the whole town hall, really. But here are the most important, kind of too long, didn't watch the whole thing to me. So at 8:36, Mr. Bernier talks about the housing market. And in this answer, he doesn't just talk about how his policies will give you more money and help you afford a house. The other side, he talks about the other side of it. He talks about how immigration is impacting the biggest markets and putting pressure on those markets. And he says that his policies of reducing immigration and having a hard number of 250,000 per year will help relieve the pressure on these very, very big, very, very full markets, right? Okay, so here's the question and answer. Go.
They want to know if, so this individual says that the housing market currently is making it impossible to him as a young adult to buy a home. What will you do to fix this issue and this inflated market?
Yeah. So first of all, the best way to help you to buy a house is to giving you more of your own money in your own pockets. So we'll do that. We'll lower your taxes. We won't have a program like the Trudeau government just did to give you a loan or something like that. He just wanted to buy votes with the money that we don't have, and he's putting that on the credit card of the government. It is irresponsible, and at the end it will be unfair. We'll create a new department in Ottawa to manage that. It won't be inefficient. If we want to help the young people to buy the first house, we need to give them more of their own money in their own pockets. So that's our solution. You have, what we're going to do? We're going to have a flat tax at 15% for people earning more than $15,000 up to $100K. And we'll have another tax rate at 25% for earnings more than $100K a year. And for the poor, we'll increase the personal exemption at $15,000 a year. So if you are earning less than $15,000 a year, you won't pay an income tax at the federal level. That's the solution for you being able to buy a house in this country. But I understand that it is in markets like Toronto and Vancouver, the price of houses are going up because of the pressure in the market. So what we must do over there, I will speak about our policy on immigration. We're the only political parties that want to have fewer immigrants. So instead of 350,000 a year, it will be 250,000 a year or less. So when you have more immigrants, these people are not coming in Saint-Georges-de-Beauce in my own riding. They're going to Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. And that put pressure on the housing market over there. So if you have fewer immigrants, you'll have fewer immigrants that would go to Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. And so you'll have a fewer demand for housing, and that will help. That will help the housing market in these cities. So that's a policy about immigration that will be good for our country, but also that will help you in these cities to be able to have a house. So if you put all that together, I think under a People's Party of Canada government, you'll be in a better position to buy your first house.
So, I mean, pretty comprehensive when you look at it. A tax strategy, a getting more money in your own pocket, flat tax, and an immigration strategy that reduces demand and thereby at least holds the prices to where they are, right? At this point in time, hopefully. Okay, I'll cue up the next clip. This is another immigration question. The Liberals have started trying to close the safe third country loophole that's been allowing people to cross into Canada and go to hotels and wait their turn at a hearing, which is now 2 years long of a wait, which is incredible on taxpayer dime, which again doesn't make any sense. So he's answering the question, what will you do? And so here he is.
The Liberals say that they intend to stem the flow of asylum seekers crossing into Canada without using official entry points with a new enforcement strategy. The plan is expected to cost about $1.8 billion over 5 years. Are the Liberals doing enough, or is it too little, too late?
First of all, they're throwing a lot of money. You know, the strategy for a Liberal government, where there's an issue or a challenge at some place, you just have to throw money at it and they will solve that. But they won't be able to solve that. So the most important is to sit down with President Trump and fix that loophole. That's the most important. Fix that loophole. So, because what's happening right now, our immigration system is not sustainable. And we need and we want an immigration system that it is sustainable. It is not fair for Canadians that are paying for that. It is not fair also for these people who are crossing the border in Quebec and illegally in Quebec, because they will have to wait about 2 or 3 years before knowing that, you know, they were not a real refugees and they have to go back to their country. So it's not fair for them. We want people who are coming to our country because they share our principle and they're respecting our immigration law. So the way to do it, now they're putting more money, but you know, it would be so simple if the Trudeau government decided a couple of months ago to sit down with President Trump and fix that. So our position is to do that, to fix it, and to have fewer refugees, but the real refugees, not the ones who are crossing the border in Quebec. Do you think really that their life is in danger when you stay in the state of New York? I don't believe so. I want to help the real refugees that are waiting in a refugees camp in another country where their life is in danger. So what we want is fewer refugees, but real refugees, fewer immigrants coming under the reunification of family, and more economic immigrant. But all together, we want a maximum of 250,000 immigrants a year, so fewer immigrants, 250,000 or less in a year. So that will be our position. But what the Trudeau government are doing, that they just try to fix the crisis, but they don't use the right tool to do it.
So, I mean, again, another comprehensive answer that touched on multiple parts of the problem. Sit down with President Trump. The immigration system is not sustainable, and that's been done on purpose. Mr. Ahmed Hassan admitted as much in a leaked letter in 2017 or early 2018 that the system is unsustainable and can't manage the numbers that are being allowed in walking across the border. It's not fair for Canadians. It's not fair for the people who believe they're coming for a better life, but who will be rejected because they're not coming in properly. And Canada does have rules on books that say if you don't qualify, and these people do not qualify, we have numbers for these people that they don't qualify, they will get deported. They will get removed from Canada. And heartstrings or no, we have to have a line. Like, there has to be, we can help this many and no more. And that's it, right? Like, if your neighbor has a broken window, maybe you help, maybe you don't. If you have extra money, maybe you can help. But if your neighbor continually has a broken window and you're continually sending money, does it make sense to continually send money when it never gets fixed? And further than that, we can't fix other countries' problems by wholesale importing their population to our country. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so get off my soapbox. Not really. This whole thing's a soapbox, isn't it? I'll cue up the next clip. Here's one on healthcare and how a mixed system, public-private, will save money and help people. There are other examples. Germany is one example of a public-private system that actually works better and is cheaper than Canada. Lower wait times, lower cost. We're one of the most expensive with the highest wait times in Canada, in the G7. And so a lot of people think we have a really, really good health system. But being in a hallway in Ontario for healthcare is something that is part of the current conversation about healthcare. So I don't understand how Canadians can continually believe that their healthcare is top of the line in the world when it is clearly lagging behind due to, again, spending on bureaucratic layers, which I believe that the Liberal government in Ontario did that on purpose to hide the job numbers. They just hired a lot of paper pushers into the hospitals and said, oh, we just need to increase healthcare spending. People are really fine with healthcare spending. They're not so fine with just government job spending, right? So if you think that all that money is going to frontline when really it's going to people who are pushing paper and who are not trained in healthcare, you realize, oh, it's just a big money pit. Okay, here's Bernier on healthcare and how our system is not actually the best in the world.
Will the government help lower wait times at hospitals?
That won't be the federal government because it is not under our jurisdiction. Healthcare, it's a 100% provincial jurisdiction. So what we want to do, we want to be sure that yes, wait time, it is too long if you compare that with the wait time in other countries in Europe. Actually, they don't have any wait time. Go to France, go to Sweden and other countries. Why? Because they have a better system than our system. They have a mixed system. Private delivery of healthcare and public delivery of healthcare, but they have one universal coverage for everybody. So that's the kind of system that we must have in this country. But I won't decide that as a politician at the federal level because it's a provincial jurisdiction. So what we will do, we will give the right incentive to provinces to be able for them to decide if they want to do it. What will be the incentive? Instead of transferring about $20 billion a year for healthcare, we will cut that transfer, but we will give the same amount of money by transferring tax points. So the logic is I will lower the income tax at the federal level, and that will give room for provinces to increase their income tax, so they will have to tax their own people for their own responsibility in healthcare. And like that, you will know who is to blame for the poor services that you're having right now. Right now, you don't know who to blame. Is it the federal government because we don't give enough money? Or is it the provincial government or a provincial government because they're not able to manage the healthcare delivery services? So right now, you'll be able because that's their responsibility. So you won't be able to blame the federal government. But that will give an incentive because usually politicians, they don't like to increase taxes. So they will have to find other means to be more efficient, and that will give them a right incentive to go and look what happened in Europe, and maybe they will implement more private delivery of services. But that will be their decision. So that's our program, and that's the way to do it. Actually, I just want to give you an anecdote about it. The first time I was a conservative in 2006, we had 5 priorities at that time with Stephen Harper. And one of the priorities was to work on the waiting times for healthcare delivery in our country. That was the only promise that we were not able to deliver because it was not under our jurisdiction. So let's have a real discussion about it. let's provinces be able to tax for their own responsibility, and they will have the incentive to have a better system or a mixed system with a universal coverage. That's important. We don't want the system that they have a system. Look in Europe, look in Australia, look in these countries. They have both delivery, and you can choose if you want to go to a public hospital or a private clinic.
So, and again, I think that he makes a good case, and I've done the reading. We are expensive and we take a long time. Wait lists shouldn't happen in healthcare. Hallway medicine shouldn't be happening in healthcare, especially in Canada. Terrible. I'll cue up the next clip. Okay, and as I said, there is a lot more that I'm not showing. He talks about freedom of speech and how a PPC government will stimulate that and or will ensure that on college campuses and university campuses. This is the best. Again, yesterday I think I didn't show the right clip for Bernier being passionate, and I'm going to try to not make the same mistake twice. It's a bit of a long one, but I think it's so worth watching. This is a question on lobbyists and what's happening in Ottawa, and how will you deal with lobbyists? How do you even begin to solve that problem? Because I've asked that question. How do you begin to solve this problem? Money has been tied into politics so closely these days that it's very difficult to solve the problem. I think Mr. Bernier talks at length here, and it's worth listening to. So I'm going to stop talking and let him talk. Here we go.
Can you talk now about your plan to eliminate lobbying?
Eliminate lobbying. First of all, why we have a lot of lobbyings in this country? It's because we have a big, fat government in Ottawa that is giving privilege, subsidies to businesses. And that's why. Look at the SNC-Lavalin. It's cronyism. It's a crony capitalism. I believe in capitalism, in pure capitalism, not in crony capitalism. That's why we have this SNC-Lavalin scandal. The Trudeau government wanted to buy votes in Quebec and wanted to please his friends at Lavalin. So that's why they were ready to be sure that SNC-Lavalin won't be persecuted, and they wanted to give a privilege to SNC-Lavalin. For us, I always say no to that. No special deal to any corporation. No corporation is above the law. So that being said, it's because you have lobbyists, because you have a big government in Ottawa. With us, you won't have any subsidies. So you won't need any lobbyists to lobby the government for subsidies for a corporation, because we'll abolish that. We'll save $5 billion. So we won't give any privilege, legal privilege to businesses. It would be the free market. So they won't be able to come to us and ask for a privilege in a legislation or in a regulation. It's our principle, it's fairness. Free market and fairness would be fair for everybody.
Sorry about that, everybody.
They can, I need you.
Sorry about that, everyone. The live stream had a large chunk missing there, so I apologize. Here we go.
To the lobbyists, they won't have any job with us because we'll have a smaller government and we won't give any subsidies.
So on this question of lobbying, just so you know, Maxime, someone has suggested lobby the government for freedom and vote PPC.
Yeah, but I need you to be able to go and look at our platform and vote for the PPC candidate that you'll have in your riding, absolutely. Because we're the only one who won't pander to any special interest group, and we're telling you, we're speaking the truth. If you like what I'm saying, come with us. If you don't like what I'm saying, okay, you have other choice, and that's it, that's life. But I won't try to please everybody for having your support. I think we have the right policies based on freedom, and that's the Western civilization values. That's what created this country, freedom and responsibility. So we have the best ideas. We just need to be out there and to speak about it with passion and conviction, and not looking at the poll and every day and trying to change our policies. No, we have the right policies. They're good for this country. They will bring freedom and prosperity. Let's speak about it. And yes, I need you, and I hope that you'll be able to use the social media and speak to Canadians on Facebook and Twitter about our ideas. And the more people will be able to listen what we have to say, the more support we will have. Thanks.
So, I mean, passion, conviction. These are our ideas, and I think that they're the best for Canada. And I'm not going to change my ideas for you to support me, but I hope you support me because I believe in my ideas. That's the kind of person we should have running the country, right? Not Justin Trudeau running around pandering to, well, anybody who doesn't live in Canada, and Andrew Scheer running and pandering to everybody who does. It's frustrating. So, Mr. Bernier, thank you for the breath of fresh air, and I will continue to hold you to account, but I think you said all you needed to say in that little 30-second clip, and, well, thank you for watching, everybody. Check out thepeoplespartyofcanada.ca, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.